possibly. It was something that maybe they were dabbling. They created maybe when they were doing OK Computer and they left it off the album. I don't know. You know.
They did that with I Promise.
Yeah, right. I mean, Beatles have done that too. You know, a lot of great bands. You know, like whatever showed up on this album. You know, they it was a holdover from like the previous one. So I don't know anything, but there are Radiohead fans out there that know way more than me and Chris. So please, if you know anything like that, if you say yes or no, you're crazy, please type that into the comments.
Well, we know we're crazy already, so you don't have to tell us that. Welcome back to Into the Music. I'm Chris, and that guy on the side of me is Greg.
I'm Greg. Hey, Chris. Chris, hey, I've got a song for you, man.
Okay.
I have a song for you. So I know you like / love Radiohead. And I've got one that I don't know if you know this one. It's called Optimistic.
I do not know it.
I was about to say I wasn't optimistic that you didn't know it, and I can't believe you don't know it. Wow. And that's not a diss. I'm going to get into after when you come back from the other side. I'll tell you why I was really, really big time surprised. So Optimistic, It's from the album Kid A, and go and check it out and come on back and tell me how you like it.
I'll let you know. I really like that fast rhythm thing they got going there. I'll pull it back a little bit. Here we go. Now that's cool. All right, let me go back a little. Love that part. Oh, a little bit more.
Hey, Chris, I see you back, and tell me, what was your experience?
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard this Radiohead song, and I really liked it. I'm glad I'm always glad to hear something good, of course, that I didn't hear, but especially with Radiohead,
Yeah,
because I kind of feel like I tapped them out as far as what that I'm tapped out on listening to their stuff
yeah,
as far as it being, any novelty to it. But this one was really good. The rhythms were great.
yeah,
I'd have to listen to it a few more times to get a lot more out of it because there's always a lot going on in their
yeah, yeah.
songs. Um, but just, so yeah, so tell me about this song.
So I'll tell you just before I get into like the details of the song, why. And I'm wondering if you have any like theory as to why you think that you hadn't heard the song yet. So I'll tell you, um, what I'm thinking is that it was from the album Kid A, right?
Mhm.
And if folks will go to some of the other Radiohead reactions that we've done, I haven't kind of held back about how I didn't like, where Radiohead sort of went,
Mhm.
after they recorded their I think their groundbreaking album, OK Computer.
Mhm.
And from what I understand, they, even though it's a great album and creativity, I mean, their creativity was like at its peak, at
Mhm.
that time. They came out of that, I understand, like tired, and then they had to do promotions, promoting the album and the whole
Yeah, they
thing.
probably went on a huge tour, right?
And there was the business side to it, right?
Yeah.
So there was like
Yeah.
creating this beautiful masterpiece, and then there was promoting the darn
Mhm.
thing. And I understand that that kind of like really, was not a good experience for them, and they wanted to get away from that,
Mhm.
and then get away from like everything, like just move even away from that sound.
Yeah.
And they started getting into this real sort of heavy, sort of computerized, taking electronic software and like taking their
Mhm.
recordings and like filtering it through that kind of stuff and like coming out with like it just bothered me, it bugged me. There's certain things, that each of us, we have sort of pet peeves, it could be someone's voice, it could be like sound of a guitar or whatever, and it's hard to get around that. I just couldn't get around that. And so this album, the next one, which was Kid A, most of that most of that album was like that, what I just
Mhm.
described, this heavily,
Yeah. Yeah, it
right,
was.
filtered computer. And but this one, that's why this one, they just dropped this in, and it's not really like that. This is a Radiohead song, that
Mhm.
had that, reflected that Radiohead sound, that, later when they kind of went back to me on track with, in later years, they got back to somewhat that sound, but then they created something else different, which was amazing.
Mhm.
But anyway, but they just dropped this thing in the middle, that just really was not related to almost anything else on the album. And so I'm wondering if that's what kind of like how it just skipped under, your radar, because I know that's probably,
Yeah, I would
yeah,
imagine that probably did happen.
yeah.
Do you know if they recorded this at a different time than they recorded the other, like maybe it was recorded
No,
earlier?
no, that's not my understanding. I mean, I was doing some research on it. Nothing jumps out like that. Um, it was just it it just was something that I think, maybe possibly they had this in mind for I'm I don't know anything. It's just speculation on my part, but maybe possibly It was something that maybe they were dabbling. They created maybe when they were doing OK Computer and they left it off the album. I don't know.
They did that with I Promise.
Yeah, right. I mean, Beatles have done that too. A lot of great bands. Like whatever showed up on this album. It was a holdover from like the previous one. So I don't know anything, but there are Radiohead fans out there that know way more than me and Chris. So please, if you know anything like that, if you say yes or no, you're crazy, please type that into the comments.
Well, we know we're crazy already, so you don't have to tell us that.
Right. And so this is the 6th song on the album, and this actually, I think understandably so, this got the most, airplay, radio play than any other song on the album. Just to kind of go through again for folks who are not really familiar with Radiohead, Tom York, vocals, guitar, piano, keyboards, that's a lot. He's just a musical genius, I think. Johnny Greenwood, lead guitar, keyboards, and I think anything that plays a note, he's also amazing. Colin Greenwood, bass, Ed O'Brien, guitar, backing vocals, and this guy, Philip Selway. The more I get back into Radiohead, the more appreciation I have of this guy. His drum playing, his percussion, his skills, just fabulous. And you can hear like in the song as they like at so like it kind of like climaxed the song where it's just like towards the end and like it's just that typical patented type of radio sound where everything comes crashing in, everything, and the drumming is just ooh.
Yeah, I forgot that. I forgot it.
And he just is crazy with the drums. It's beautiful,
But at the end, it goes into that thing where it's kind of got a neat bass line. It goes into a whole different thing at the end.
Yes, and actually,
I almost forgot.
Well, that's interesting because that segues into the next song on the album. That's again this kind of electronic filtered kind of thing, and I'm like, okay, see ya.
But if that next song, if that's what's in the next song, I'd like to hear the next song.
Yeah, have fun. Let me know how it is.
I will. But I mean, just that they put it in at the end of this song.
Yeah.
That transition was that.
It was a cool transition. Yeah. It definitely works. I mean, within the song.
Maybe it doesn't work in a whole song, which would be the next song. I don't know.
Yeah. I want this one verse, right? Flies are buzzing around my head, vultures circling the dead, picking up every last crumb. And in this, the big fish eat the little ones. The big fish eat the little ones. Not my problem. Give me some. And what I understand that the song to really be about, it really describes the greed and the exploitation of, like, I guess, the music business. And so really when you kind of like those first 2 lines about the flies buzzing around, the vultures, picking up every last crumb. But then that last part, the big fish eat the little ones. And he's like, hey, not my problem. Give me what you owe me. It's almost like an understanding of the business. And that, unfortunately, it is what it is. And, you owe me. So, yeah, cool.
So it's good.
All right. Great. So, more Radiohead songs. This one, I kind of lucked out because I think it's more, I still need to do a deep dive into Radiohead. But maybe I'll pull another one out, and surprise you. So we'll see. All right.
Okay. And I think I can surprise you on a couple more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Looking forward to it. I really hope so. Okay.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Everyone, thank you so much. Like, subscribe. And Chris, any final words?
Send us money.
Yeah, sure. See you next time on Into the Music.
Into the Music.